Welcome back. We're continuing our deep dive into sleep. We've covered a lot about how sleep impacts our mental and emotional well-being.
Yeah, it's amazing just how much research there is on this. Really fascinating.
Absolutely. And today we're taking things in a slightly different direction. We're going to explore the link between sleep and creativity. Specifically, how dreaming can unlock solutions and insights that we might struggle with while we're awake. Now, you've had that experience where you wake up with a solution to a problem that had been bothering you.
Oh, yeah, all the time. Like it just appears out of nowhere.
It's almost like magic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's start by breaking down the different stages of sleep. We know there's REM sleep, where we dream the most. How does that stage factor into this whole creativity equation?
Well, think about it like this. When we're in deep sleep, those NREM stages, the brain is focused on consolidating memories. It's strengthening those neural connections that hold individual pieces of information, almost like carefully organizing files.
Right, putting everything in its place. But then things change when we enter REM sleep.
Exactly. During REM sleep, those neatly organized memories get blended in really unexpected ways, sometimes even bizarre ways. It's like you could call it a kind of alchemy. All these different pieces of information colliding and merging.
So it's not just about replaying the day's events. Our brains are actively creating something new.
That's right. And from these new combinations, the brain can extract a deeper meaning, the essence of the information, what researchers sometimes call the gist. And it's this process that often leads to those aha moments, those breakthroughs that might have eluded us when we were awake.
The gist, I like that. So instead of just memorizing facts, REM sleep helps us see the bigger picture, the underlying patterns and connections.
Yeah, exactly. Like, imagine the difference between having a toolbox full of individual tools and actually understanding how to use those tools together to build something truly remarkable.
Makes sense. So are there any real-world examples of this, instances where someone's dream actually led to a major discovery or a creative leap?
Oh, there are some pretty incredible stories. You've probably heard of Dmitri Mendeleev.
The creator of the periodic table.
Yeah, well, he actually dreamt the solution. You see, he was obsessed with organizing the elements, but struggled for years to find a system that worked. And then, one night, completely exhausted after countless failed attempts, he fell asleep.
And dreamt the periodic table.
Pretty much. The story goes that the elements just kind of fell into place in his dream, forming that grid-like structure we all know today. He woke up and immediately jotted it down. There might have been some minor adjustments later on, but the core of the solution came from his dream.
That's amazing. His dreaming mind accomplished what his waking mind couldn't.
It really shows how powerful REM sleep can be, how it can unlock these insights that remain hidden from us when we're awake. And it's not just a one-off thing. There are tons of other examples across different fields.
Like what?
Well, there's Otto Loewi, the neuroscientist. He won a Nobel Prize for his work. And guess what? He had a dream about an experiment. And that experiment ended up revealing how nerve cells communicate using chemicals. A huge breakthrough in our understanding of the nervous system.
It's almost as if our brains are working on these problems in the background, even when we're not consciously aware of it.
Exactly. And it's not limited to science either. Think about Paul McCartney, the Beatle. He said that some of his most famous songs, like Yesterday and Let It Be, came to him in dreams, woke up with the melodies fully formed in his head.
Wow, so some of the most beloved music in history was born in the dream world.
And it's not just music either. Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones, he dreamt the iconic opening riff to Satisfaction, even managed to record it in his sleep, woke up to a tape of himself playing the riff, followed by the sound of his own snoring.
Huh, what a story. These are all incredible anecdotes, but I have to ask, are they just that? Anecdotes? Or is there actual scientific evidence that REM sleep truly enhances creativity?
It's definitely more than just interesting stories. Scientists have come up with some clever ways to study the brain during sleep.
Well, I can imagine that's pretty challenging. The person's unconscious. You can't exactly ask them to perform tasks in the middle of the night.
Right. But what they do is they use this phenomenon called sleep inertia.
Sleep inertia.
Yeah, it's that groggy feeling you get right after waking up. Your brain's still transitioning from sleep to wakefulness. And researchers have found that they can test people during this brief window.
So it's like catching the brain right as it's emerging from the dream world, still holding on to those REM-fueled insights.
Exactly. And what they found is pretty amazing. One study involved giving people anagrams to solve. And those who had just woken up from REM sleep, they were significantly better at solving those puzzles than those who had been awake during the day, or even those who had recently had NREM sleep.
So it wasn't just about solving more puzzles. There was a difference in how they approached the task after REM sleep.
Yeah, a lot of the participants described the solutions just popping into their minds, effortlessly. It's as if REM sleep loosens the grip of our usual logical thinking, allowing us to see connections we might have missed otherwise.
So REM sleep is almost like hitting the reset button on our thinking, allowing for more flexible and creative thought processes.
That's a good way to put it. Another study found that after waking from REM sleep, our brains tend to favor unusual and distinct connections between memories. It's like the normal filters are off, allowing for a wider range of associations.
Instead of those predictable linear connections, our brains are making these leaps,
Mhm.
linking seemingly unrelated ideas, and often that's where the most innovative thinking happens, right?
Exactly. Those unexpected connections can be the seeds of groundbreaking discoveries and creative breakthroughs.
So it seems clear that REM sleep could be a powerful tool for creative problem solving. But how do scientists actually test this in a controlled environment? How do they move beyond just observing those anecdotes and correlations?
One way is to look at something called relational memory. It's our ability to link different pieces of information together. Like if you learn that A is bigger than B and B is bigger than C.
Then A must be bigger than C, right?
Yeah, exactly. Even though you never learned that specific relationship directly, it's like putting a puzzle together, using the pieces to see the bigger picture.
I see, yeah.
Well, studies have shown that REM sleep is super important for this kind of thinking. People who get enough REM sleep, they're much better at making those leaps, connecting those seemingly unrelated pieces of information.
So REM sleep doesn't just strengthen memories. It helps us weave them together into a deeper understanding.
Right. It's the difference between just knowing a bunch of facts and actually grasping how they all fit together. The difference between knowledge and, well, wisdom, you could say.
I've definitely had times when I've struggled with a problem for hours, and then boom, the solution hits me after a good night's sleep. Like my brain was working on it in the background.
It's really common, actually. And think about the phrase sleep on it. It exists in so many languages and cultures, almost like some ancient wisdom, you know?
It's like we've always known that sleep has this power, even before science could explain it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And one study, a really interesting one, looked at code breaking, specifically finding patterns in these random number sequences.
Oh, wow. Sounds complicated.
They gave people these number strings and told them there was a hidden rule, a shortcut to help them solve the problem faster. Some got to sleep, others had to stay awake, and the results were pretty amazing.
I bet the sleepers had a big advantage.
Huge. Those who slept were 3 times more likely to figure out the hidden rule. A pretty clear demonstration that sleep helps with insight and problem solving.
3 times, wow. Makes you want to take a nap right now.
Right? But the question is it just sleep in general? Or is there something special about REM sleep and dreaming that leads to this boost?
Yeah, good question.
Well, while all sleep stages have their benefits, it seems like REM sleep and dreaming are really key when it comes to those big cognitive leaps. Remember the study we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
The one with the virtual reality maze?
Yeah, the one where people who dreamed about the maze got better at navigating it.
Exactly. Well, that study, along with others, suggests it's not just about sleep. It's also about what we dream about. It's like our brains use dreams to explore different possibilities, to test out ideas and make sense of new information.
Like a late-night brainstorming session.
Yeah, exactly. And it highlights that dreams aren't just random noise. They reflect our thoughts, our experiences. And sometimes they can offer insights that we just don't get when we're awake.
I'm starting to see dreams in a whole new light now. Not just an escape, but a way to engage with reality on a different level.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. Processing information on a deeper level, maybe even subconsciously.
But this makes me think about those historical figures who were known for sleeping very little, like Thomas Edison. Didn't he claim to only sleep a few hours a night? Does that contradict what we've been talking about?
Well, it's important to remember that what people say about their sleep and what actually happens can be different. It's possible Edison wasn't as sleep deprived as he claimed.
I know I've had nights where I thought I barely slept, but then realized I must have dozed off more than I thought.
We all have, haha. But there's another interesting thing about Edison. Despite claiming to be a short sleeper, he was a big believer in naps. And not just any naps.
What do you mean?
He specifically tried to have naps that would lead to dreaming.
Really? So even someone like Edison, who seemingly thrived on very little sleep, recognized the value of dreams.
It seems so, yeah. He even came up with this really creative technique to induce dreams.
What do you do?
He would sit in a chair holding a steel ball bearing, and he'd position his hand over a metal pan. So as he drifted off and his muscles relaxed, the ball would fall out of his hand.
They make a loud noise, waking him up.
Exactly. The clang would jolt him awake, and he'd immediately write down whatever ideas had come up in his dream.
Wow, that's pretty ingenious.
Yeah.
It really shows how much he valued those dream-inspired insights.
For sure. It's a testament to the power of dreams, even for people who might not need as much sleep overall.
This makes me wonder if most of us aren't fully tapping into the potential of our own dreams. If they can provide such incredible insights, shouldn't we be more intentional about cultivating them?
It's a great question. We tend to think of dreams as fleeting things. We might remember a vivid one, but we don't often give them much thought.
But as we've been discussing, these seemingly random, often strange nocturnal adventures might hold the key to unlocking some of our greatest potential.
Which brings us to the topic of lucid dreaming. The ability to become aware that you're dreaming and even control your dreams.
I've heard about that. Sounds a bit like science fiction.
It does, but there's actually growing evidence that it's a real phenomenon. And if we can learn to harness this ability, imagine what we could do.
Wow, it's pretty mind-boggling.
It really is. Imagine being able to consciously guide your dreams, explore different scenarios, test out ideas, even seek solutions to problems that have been stumping you in your waking life.
Like having a virtual reality simulator built into your own mind.
Exactly. But it also raises another question. If lucid dreaming is so potentially beneficial, why isn't it more common? Why haven't we all evolved to be lucid dreamers?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Some researchers think it might be a relatively recent evolutionary development, something that's still emerging. Maybe we're just starting to scratch the surface of what our dreaming minds are capable of.
Maybe it's a glimpse into the future of human consciousness.
That's a really interesting thought. But before we get too carried away with speculating about the future of dreaming, let's bring it back to the present.
Good idea.
It's important to remember that even regular dreaming, the kind we all experience, is a powerful tool for creativity and problem solving.
So we don't have to be master lucid dreamers to benefit.
Not at all. The next time you're struggling with a challenge, remember that a good night's sleep might be the best solution.
Let your brain do its work in the dream world, and who knows what you'll wake up with.
We've covered so much ground today, from the way REM sleep shapes our memories to those incredible stories of dream-inspired discoveries. It's clear that sleep is far more than just rest and rejuvenation.
It's a dynamic process that fuels our imagination and helps us approach problems in new and unexpected ways.
And while lucid dreaming is definitely an exciting area for future exploration, it's comforting to know that even our regular dreams, those nightly trips into our subconscious, are shaping our waking lives in profound ways.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into sleep and creativity, I want to encourage everyone listening to really embrace the power of their dreams.
Whether you're a seasoned lucid dreamer or just someone who appreciates a good night's sleep, remember that sleep isn't just an escape. It's a vital part of living a fulfilling and creative life. Pay attention to your dreams. Think about what they might be telling you. You might be surprised by the insights and inspiration you find.
And maybe, just maybe, give lucid dreaming a try. See if you can tap into that creative wellspring within your own mind.
The world of sleep is vast and mysterious, and there's so much we still don't know.
But one thing's for sure, sleep is an essential part of what makes us human. It fuels our creativity, shapes our emotions, and helps us navigate the complexities of our waking lives. It really has been quite the exploration, hasn't it? Uncovering this link between sleep and creativity.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, people don't always make that connection, but as we've seen, it's incredibly important. It's really at the heart of how we solve problems, how we innovate, and even how we express ourselves.
And what's been so fascinating is to see it from different angles. We've looked at the science, those studies that show what's happening in our brains when we dream.
And those stories, right? Artists and scientists who've been inspired by their dreams.
Exactly. It all points to the fact that sleep is so much more than just resting.
It's almost like this hidden workshop where our conscious and subconscious minds get to work together.
Creating those sparks of insight that can really change our waking lives.
Yeah, and we've talked about so much how REM sleep helps us solidify those memories and make creative leaps.
And how what we dream about actually matters. Plus, that whole intriguing world of lucid dreaming.
And I think one of the biggest takeaways here is just how important it is to value sleep. It's not a luxury or a sign of weakness. It's truly essential for a healthy and creative life.
Yeah, we often get caught up in this culture of busyness. But we need to remember that real productivity often comes after we've allowed ourselves to rest and recharge.
And sleep isn't a time when our minds just switch off. They're just working in a different way. And that's what allows for that free-flowing creativity, those insights that are so hard to come by when we're busy and stressed.
So next time you're feeling stuck, whether it's a creative block or a tricky problem, remember that a good night's sleep might be the answer.
Don't force it. Let your mind explore, wander a bit, and you might be amazed by what comes up.
We've come to the end of our deep dive for today, but I hope this is just the beginning of your own exploration of sleep and creativity.
Pay attention to those dreams. See if you can find any hidden messages, any sparks of inspiration in those nightly journeys.
And hey, maybe even give lucid dreaming a try. See if you can take the wheel in that dream world.
There's still so much we don't know about sleep. It's a vast, mysterious realm.
But one thing's for sure. It's a fundamental part of what makes us human. It fuels our creativity, shapes our emotions, and helps us navigate this complex world.
Thanks for joining us on the Vital Signpost. We'll be back soon to explore even more fascinating aspects of health and well-being.
Until then, sleep well and dream big.